Getting usage information about applications and devices can be done in various ways, but a great starting point is the employee dashboard. From the employee dashboard, it's very easy to find a user and get detailed information about their devices, the active time they've been, the number of unified communications calls and applications they've ran. In this case, we see that over today there were 282 active minutes, so that is actual active time when a user is using keyboard and mouse, excluding idle time and locked device time. It also shows information about the various applications that were in the foreground, as well as unified communications calls and VDI sessions, if any available. Can easily change the time frame, and it will automatically update the numbers that we just went over. If we want to have a more detailed dive into the usage of applications, we can also use the end user activity dashboard. This dashboard shows the total number of hours that applications were used or URLs were opened in a browser over the selected time period, and shows the top 10 applications to the side of it. We can further filter down either on device group, on Active Directory user groups, or even to the individual user. Selecting a user or selecting a user group will automatically update the dashboard. If we want to get the full details, we can export the data and further analyze it. What ControlUp collects and stores is depending on the privacy settings on the account. These privacy settings can be accessed from the settings. You can have an allow list for business applications. You can have an allow list for the business URLs and other restrictions on data collection for this feature. Another useful dashboard to understand application usage is the application's performance dashboard. The end user active application time for business applications is repeated here from the previous dashboard we looked at. But in addition of usage information and key application insights, it also gives more details about the applications, any issues with applications, if there were application crashes, if there are certain applications that are memory hogs, as well as if there are certain devices that are affected negatively more than others. In addition to that, there are also reports around application usage. For example, application usage statistics. This report doesn't only show performance data, but also usage data for particular applications or for all applications in the environment, including the number of unique users and devices. This information can be used to understand usage of licensed applications and possibly be used in support of license reclamation. As far as communicating with the end user, there are various ways this can be achieved, either through the platform, through the agent, or through surveys. As we saw earlier in one of the demos, notifications can be sent through a script. You can send messages through the native agent technology. Or we can use our user sentiment surveys. Creating surveys is easy. First of all, you want to upload your corporate assets for branding. For example, a background picture. And other icons and pictures you want to use in the survey. Next, you can use a template to create a template for the survey you want to run. Various questions are supported, including an NPS question, free text questions, single selection and multiple choice questions. Depending on answers for certain questions, you can either go to the end, especially for the NPS score, or continue to additional questions. Once the template is complete and published, we can use this template to actually create either campaign-based surveys, individual surveys, or ad hoc surveys. Just click on the Use Template button. It automatically preloaded the template because we started from there. Then it's time to pick the type of survey. If I want to just run a survey once over a certain time period, it would be a single survey. This is extremely helpful. For example, if you implemented a big change and you want to kind of like get feedback on that. If it is a continuous feedback that you want to collect from your employees, for example, an ongoing satisfaction survey, that could be either from IT or from HR, then you would set up a recurring one. You will select the start date and then the frequency. So, for example, monthly on every first Monday. There are some settings around how many times it needs to retry. For example, when machines aren't off, they can't receive the survey, or if they click it away. So this is really to be able to make sure that you get as many responses as possible. The last option is an on-demand survey. This is extremely helpful. For example, if you did an individual action for a certain end user, you provided a certain service as an IT team. This would really be the kind of like one-off where I can go to the device and send the same survey to different users on different occasions. Once it is published, and in this case we published it as an on-demand. Now we can use it in either an automation or as a manual action. So let's have a look at that. Let's go back to the device that we were working with. And I believe, yeah, the remote control session is still open. And if we go to actions, on the surveys, we see the survey that we created. You see that there is a pop-up. So let's click on Start Survey. And that will submit the survey. So let's go back to the survey page. We now see that we have one completed survey. And detailed reporting, since we only just put this survey out, we only have one response, but we track how many people received it, to how many devices it was sent, how many completed it, just opened it, or partially completed it, or just looked at it but didn't actually execute, information about the survey and additional statistics, as well as the detailed responses. For example, what I just entered could be improved. The final way of engaging with employees can be done through our automation engine. As we've seen in previous videos, there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to using the automation engine, because you can basically trigger an action, and that could include employee engagement based on any metric or combination of metrics. For example, in this case, we're going to nudge a user if they've been in a certain app for a long time without any activity, for example, but there could be other ways that we engage with employees in an automated fashion. In this case, I'm looking at the application focus index, and I'm looking for a particular application, again, our favorite application, Notepad. And if that process has been the active application for a certain amount of time, we can take a certain action. In this case, I'm using a webhook URL to Zapier that sends the user a notification through Slack, but it could also be through email. As we've seen before, the survey, I can also link a survey for this user, including the survey we just created. But in this case, for this demo, we're going to use a webhook call to communicate with the user. Going to bring in our Slack here. And we just need to bring that particular application to the foreground. And wait for the trigger to fire. And there is the Slack message. And here you see that there's a custom message through the webhook API with Zapier, which informs the user of more resources that are available.